Welcome back to another video, and before we get into it, I just want to address the title of this video. Of course, it's 10 most boring bastards in music. However, the reason I've done that is because it's actually about the nicest people. Nice is boring. There's a reason that you guys constantly click on the hate-filled content that I put out there. Judge yourself. Take a good look at yourself. Okay? There'll be plenty more hate-filled content soon though, so make sure that you subscribe. Now before we get into the rest of this video, I just want to point out that my new channel, That Horror Game Bloke, is now up and running and the first video is up there. Many of you have been watching it, many of you haven't. Just pointing out, it was actually my birthday a couple of days ago. None of you got me anything? Do you want to get me something? Just watch that and that. Just watch that. So anyway, 10 boring bastards. Of course they're not boring bastards. They're lovely human beings. But like I said, lovely boring being. All right. Anyway, enough of the humour. So this first one isn't actually going to be part of the 10. This is going to be a bit of a wild card because, all right, let's now I'm interested in people's thoughts because obviously not so long ago there was all the, the trouble within the family. And Dave is one of those people who's had the nice guy in rock tag for a while. I don't know. I've never got that vibe from him. I'm not saying he's a bad person. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, the cheating was not good. But I've never really bought into the whole he's a real nice guy kind of thing. Am I alone in that? I've never met him. So, I mean, I'm just pure bullshit on my part. But anyway. So, yeah, the first one, that doesn't really count. That's just more of an opinion piece. What do you think? So we're going into the real list now. Fenriz. From Dark Throne. A lot of you mentioned Fenriz straight away. I can buy that. Now, I don't know if nice is necessarily the descriptor that I would go with, but he certainly seems like a really stand-up human being. Very passionate about music. Defends the music that he likes. Considering he was like he was responsible for some of the earliest black metal and the stuff that has really gone on to influence so much of black metal. He seems to be one of those guys who kind of stayed away from that elitist bullshit in that he kind of, he's still true to black metal, but he's not afraid to experiment and take it further and take it places. Do you know what I mean? I've always respected that about him. Yes, incredibly passionate about music, defends what he likes, creates what he likes. He doesn't seem to be too up himself. He seems quite, comfortable in his own skin, and he does what he does, and he's passionate about it, passionate about the music he likes. And I mean, look, he's there with a cat. It's all right, isn't it? Yeah, Fenriz, I'll go with that. I mean, it's not the best picture, but Corpse Grinder, come on. George Corpse Grinder Fisher, of course, from the mighty Cannibal Corpse. Great picture of him there with his daughter. I mean, there's stories of him. Everybody knows about him visiting Target. On store, he's a big fan of the the claw machines where you win the soft toys and all that. By all accounts, he collects those when he's on tour because he's quite good at winning them, and then he donates them all to a children's charity at the end of the tour every time. A lover of World of Warcraft. He's a cuddly nerd with a neck the size of most people's thigh. Lovely human being. Come on. I found that with a lot of death metal musicians actually. There's something about getting the aggression out in the music. It leaves them in real life to be actually quite a cuddly little, well, not so little, but Corpse Grinder, no way. He couldn't not be on this list. Next up, we're going with Chester Bennington. There's been a lot of hate for Linkin Park on this channel. Not from me, by the way. I've never really hated the band, but they seem to be one of those bands that constantly get shit. But I've never really heard people talk badly about Chester Bennington. He always seemed like a really lovely human being. Obviously, he had a very, very troubled childhood. He's one of those people I've never really heard anyone say anything bad about. In fact, there was an interview with our beloved Ian Watkins, that twat. R.I.P. And it was taken backstage at a festival many years ago, and in it Ian Watkins was saying what an arsehole he thought Chester Bennington was. Now this was very interesting because I was reading the comments for this. It was a very interesting thing that, as I said, Chester Bennington is a man that I've not heard anybody really say anything bad about. He always seems to be, everyone said what a lovely human being he was, and the only person that said something bad about him was a predator. And anyone who knows anything about Chester Bennington's past knows that he had experience with that. So quite interesting that, Ian Watkins was saying it was very unfriendly. Got to wonder why that was. He was aware of what a piece of shit that guy was. So, yeah, Chester Bennington, what a lovely human being by all accounts. Next up, one of my absolute favourites of all time, Devin Townsend. What an absolute gent of a man. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure with all of these people, they've got their moments. It's not like all these people, I'm not saying that any of these people are saints, but you know what I mean? They're just people who just genuinely seem to have a good vibe about them. See, I was getting so emotional then. Devin Townsend was the main songwriter for a band called Strapping Young Lad. All of you know what a huge fan I am of that band. I know a lot of you know that band. If you haven't checked out Strapping Young Lad, what the fuck are you doing? Do. Some of that music was some of the angriest music. It was so frenetic, so in your face. I absolutely loved it. But the man behind it, you know, very, very deep spiritual human being. I have a particular fondness for Devin because I've mentioned a few times, but I've actually been sober now for about 10 years. And Devin Townsend was a part of that, along with other people, Randy Bly, James Hetfield, Henry Rollins. They, you know, a lot of their sort of, a lot of the things I heard them talking about kind of contributed to me getting sober. But there was, in particular, his quadrilogy series of albums, ranging from Key to Ghost, from what that would have been 2009 to 2011, I believe it was. He released a box set of those 4 albums, and he put a commentary track on every single album, where he talked about the creation of each album, and his sobriety was a big part of those albums. And listening to that commentary definitely put a few things in my head that kind of got me thinking in a more, I don't know, positive. I'm a miserable bastard, but it got me sober. Alice Cooper. I can't think of a time I've heard about word said about Alice Cooper. I know he had his crazy period back in the 70s where he was drinking and drugging like a mofo. And of course he's got his his wild act. He's one of the original shock rockers. But he seems like a genuinely lovely guy. I don't really hear him talking shit about people. He always seems very respectful of people. He always seems well considered in what he says. And just seems like a wonderful, lovely human being. What's wrong with that? Coming from somebody who makes hate-filled content because you watch it. You know, there's me judging myself. Yeah. Take a look at yourself, innit? So anyway, Alice Cooper, lovely human being. Not heard a bad word said about the mofo. Next up, we've got a twofer. It's Alex Lifeson and Geddy Lee. Now, I could have actually put Neil Peart, or whatever. I can't remember. How he changed how you pronounced it towards the end. I was going to say he was a lovely human being, but he was actually quite standoffish. I understand it. He did, he'd like to keep people at a distance. You know, I get that. I mean, I totally get that. I can't stand people. You, of course, are beautiful people. But Alex Lifeson and Geddy Lee. I love seeing interviews of the two together. They're childhood friends, and they've remained so throughout the entirety of their lives. And they make great music together. Of course, Rush have reformed. They're going back out on tour, which is wonderful. I'm a big fan of Rush. I like Rush. And I've got nothing else to say. They're nice, aren't they? Brilliant. Fucking brilliant. No way I couldn't include him. You know what a Queen fan I am? Brian May. Lovely human being. I'm sure he can be standoffish. I do get the impression that there's that, there's that difficult side of him. I do get the impression he can be quite a pompous bastard at times, but come on, it's Brian May. He does seem like a lovely human being as well, doesn't he? He really does. I love Brian May. He's the main reason that I picked up guitar. Guitar content will be coming at some point. I can't work out how to get past the copyright. My gaming channel, hang on. That horror game bloke, right? I've only put one video up. It's already got copyright. Because there was a tiny piece of music within the game. So, I'm trying to work out ways to do guitar that doesn't get me copyright. Brian May, he's nice, isn't he? That horror game bloke. That's nice. Subscribe. to that and this. Now we're getting out of the realms of metal and hard rock. Victor Wooten. For those of you who don't know who Victor Wooten is, incredible bass player. Wonderful human being. There's a particularly great video that he's done where he's doing like a workshop, and he's speaking to the audience, and he's playing all this incredible stuff on the bass. He's like an incredibly gifted bass player, and he's saying how fancy it is and all amazing it is. But if you look at the crowd, everybody's just kind of, you know, they're digging it. You know, they love the technicality. But then he went into the bass line for "Stand By Me." Ding 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 ding. Is that going to get copyright? And then you see the crowd again, and everybody's just, and he's just pointing out that simplicity can often be the key. You don't have to be over technical, and just like how it just makes people move. But the reason I got all this stuff up, he's got a couple of books, or more specifically, the audio books, that are definitely worth checking out. The Music Lesson and the Spirit of Music, in which it's so creative the way he's done it. He reads the books. Clearly I wouldn't be good at it. And they're so well done. It's like it's him talking to the muse. So it goes between perspectives of him and the muse and all this. It's so well done. Such a lovely human being. Such an amazing bass player. Absolutely incredible bass player. And if you don't know who he is, check him out on YouTube. Incredible, lovely human being. Speaking of virtuoso musicians, Steve Vai. Now, I'm not a particular fan of the Shredders, but I've always had a soft spot for Steve Vai. He seems to be one of those guys who really, not only is he incredibly technical, obviously incredibly gifted guitar player, but he can create real songs with it. Sex and Religion, the album that he did with Devin Townsend, that's a great example of it. Really well crafted, written songs. He understands like creating an actual riff to build a song around. Do you know what I mean? And just seems like a really lovely human being. Again, like all of them, I'm sure he has his moments. I'm sure he can be difficult. He's a creative force, and he knows what he wants, and I'm sure that he can be, demanding in what he requires from people. But that's fair enough when you're an artist. He comes across as a really nice guy. Am I wrong? I don't think so. I don't think I am. And the last person before... I'm just stuck on my... It's my YouTube channel again. That horror game bloke. Oh, go away. Subscribe. There's no way I couldn't include her. It's Dolly. Dolly Parton. What a class act. Am I wrong? I may be a metalhead. I may love my death metal. I may love my black metal. I might like my thrash metal. I love groove metal. But I will not hear a bad word said about Dolly Parton. Not in my presence, mate. There's been quite a few interviews out there where the interviewer has tried to be a bit of a dick and tried to paint her as, the less than she is. And she's always handled it with class. Every single time. Very, very classy person. I like Dolly Parton. Come on. Who doesn't like Dolly Parton? And if you don't, aren't you a miserable twat? So there we go. That's my list. 10 boring bastards. They're not boring bastards. They're lovely people. I did that just to get you to click on this video. Think about yourself. Like I said, don't judge me. Don't judge these people. I'm not saying they're boring. They're good people. Think about why you clicked on this video. You're what's wrong with society. I will be doing more hate-filled content in the future, so that will do for this video. With all seriousness, if you do like horror games, this is a metal channel. Metal and horror, they go hand in hand. Why aren't you doing that? Fucking son of a bitch. Go over and check out my other channel. I'm going to be doing plenty of stuff on that. It's going to be quite an easy channel for me to do. I love playing video games. It's not that much of a hassle for me to record what I'm doing and put it out there for you guys to watch. I'm going to be doing all sorts of demos and trials and stuff for indie horror games. That's going to be a big part of it. But I'm also thinking of playing through all of the numbered Resident Evil games, including Code Veronica, on the build up to Resident Evil Requiem, which is coming out at the end of February. There's so many retro games I can play through. I'm genuinely I think it's gonna be a fun channel that I'm gonna really enjoy doing, as well as doing this, as well as doing Banff. I know a lot of you are probably getting sick of me. Now you know how I feel. So I felt about myself on my birthday a couple of days ago. That's awkward, isn't it? That's probably the most awkward outro I've done yet. For my birthday.